So I was watching one of those TikTok lives, and it was about biracial people, interracial dating, the typical thing that we see on TikTok. Well, a guy called us a mutation, and I want to show you guys the aftermath because that's when I started recording, and they weren't having it. I mean, I guess in scientific terms, mutation is okay to say, but he was basically saying that's why you shouldn't interracially date, and that's like, and we would be lesser because of how our skin reacts to the sun, saying we need to wear sunscreen and we burn in the sun. And the people were telling him like, no, black people need sunscreen too. I know that for a fact. I was living in a household where there were black people, and they got burnt up in July, August heat just like I did. We were at Ocean City. So yeah, black people need sunscreen too. Black people can get skin cancer too. I don't know why people think that we can. I feel like that's just a lack of education, but it is what it is. I'm gonna show you the aftermath of it, because finally people were defending us, because sometimes, I mean, I see people defending us, but sometimes they just like whatever, I don't know.
People can't have a child with Down syndrome.
That has nothing to do with.
You said that it creates mutations.
She's just pointing out the contradiction.
No, I said we have. I said that they have their melanin is mutated. It's a mutation.
Oh, their melanin. Okay, the melanin. Okay.
Yeah, their melanin is a mutation. Yeah.
Right. So
what I'm saying is, you can put yourself. I'm saying.
I'm still asking you a question. We're not doing the psychological. You're not finna run and go on a rant. I wanted to ask you a question. If there was a mutation and we were not supposed to reproduce, don't you think there would be a lot of mutations or kids or biracial kids that have issues in the world?
Yeah, they actually made a documentary about it. Yeah,
there's only Mr.
Pags. No.
Okay, what's the documentary? Can you state the documentary?
There's only so far. There's only
Dude, you're saying a bunch of stuff and don't have no source.
Now, as many other races, mixed people can have issues just like anyone else, and if you don't want to mix out because you feel like, you don't know how to navigate raising mixed people in this world, that's completely fine. I'm not even mad at him for saying that, but don't make it seem like that's all of us. That's up to the parents. If they know how to raise their kids will be fine.
Now, let him say it.
I'm not gonna do the heavy lifting for you. I can't. That's for me to cite every source. I mean, that's just
no. I mean, what
this heavy lifting for us? But if you state something,
documentary. I mean, you don't have to take my word for it.
Listen, you don't have to take my word for it. Don't be
just a documentary.
If you don't want to do the research, then don't do the research.
Yeah, what's the documentary? Name the documentary. Can you do that?
Like I said, all this stuff was years ago.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I can't remember the exact name of it.
Okay, so can you agree?
I tried to listen to you, but
if you agree that all this stuff is from years ago,
research. You go.
But I'm just saying, can you agree that it's probably been updated? It's probably. Can you agree that it's probably been updated? Because you keep saying from years ago, so it's probably been updated since then, correct?
But there's only so far. There's only so
from
far.
What I've seen, it's not even been up. It's been overlooked. Like it's been a whole.
Is it on Tubi?
That's being pushed. But they're trying to.
Did you find it on
keep
Tubi?
this stuff hidden. They're trying to keep it hidden. That's what I see. They're trying to suppress it.
He really said nope. Y'all trying to suppress this. I don't really see what he means by that, because I guess he could say the black community, because the white community has been like since the beginning of time saying like don't mix unless you're like in Brazil, and they're trying to like erase blackness, I guess you could say. But it still didn't work. 1, 2, the black community, I don't know, because in my experience, I think that a lot of black people are pro-black and they want to keep the black race black. I don't see how they're trying to suppress anything. People have always been saying not to mix. They've always said that. So I don't see how anyone tried to suppress it. But I agree with her that a lot of that stuff, it was actually not in mixed people's favor and not in race mixing's favor. They have been promoting that forever, and I don't know why he's acting like he seems like he's like well into his, like, I don't know how old he is, but he's older than me, so I don't see why he's trying to pretend like that's a thing. But I feel like he has every right not to mix. I feel like anyone does. I think it's so natural to want your own race, but if you want to date out, do it. I don't really care. I'm mixed, so like why would I care? But as far as like, again, don't push this whole we're gonna have issues on us. Like, no, you could have issues, and a lot of times mixed kids get issues from like the genetics that their parents carry. So their parents have good genetics, they'll have good genetics. If their parents have bad genetics, they'll have bad genetics. And I'm not saying like bad isn't like, oh, like their genes are terrible. No, like different people have different genetics. And a lot of times it's if you have a copy of a certain gene and your spouse or partner has a copy of a certain gene, your child is more likely to have that mutation or that like thing that can cause a certain disease. That's typically how it goes.
Propaganda.
That's
why that dude made that joke earlier saying something about the flat earth and all that, because they're mixing all that stuff together to make people feel like it's not real information that's being said when it is being said, like what I'm saying right now. So that's why you feel that.
No, I wasn't making a joke.
If you don't want to do your research,
really
don't feel offended. Don't feel offended if you're not going to do the research.
What?
Prove me wrong.
You're offended if you're saying something and you can't bring us research.
The burden of proof is on you.
Exactly.
You're the one
You
providing
need to
the
claim.
narrative.
I'm coming up because this is TikTok and I'm just asking simple questions with simple,
you're
problems.
Truth just asked you a question. Truth just asked you a question that you couldn't answer.
You asking me my opinion about why.
Wait, you haven't asked a question. If anything, we've been asking you questions based off of what you've been saying.
With no answers.
So if you come up here and you're making these statements, these outrageous statements that nobody has ever heard of, you don't think that you should provide where we should go or guide us to where we should look? Even
most people are not educated in this kind of
sounds like
research.
you're not educated in your own thing that you're trying
you
to
keep telling us to go do our own research. So tell us where to go.
Okay, it's just like let me say this. Let me use this analogy.
Nope.
If you have a rocket scientist come up here, it's almost like speaking a different language, and you would be like, "What is this? What is that?" And then that rocket scientist would say the same thing I'm telling you. This ain't something you're just gonna learn in half an hour.
They're going to tell you.
They will bring up.
The rocket scientists will bring up proof.
Exactly. This is what I do. This is how I do it. This is how we go about it.
Y'all don't understand the proof. You're illiterate to the proof. You don't.
You're saying that, but you're not even attempting to understand their side. You're like anybody educated, anybody that's not illiterate is going to try to understand both sides. And you're so think what you read, what your psychologist friends told you. You're not even attempting to listen to the people that are actually coming to you with facts, actually coming to you with articles, actually coming to you with sources. So don't call anyone else illiterate when you can't even provide your burden of truth.
No. Exactly. I was just look. What I'm saying is, I answered the prompt, and take it or leave it. That's my answer. Do your own research. Don't get mad and offended and don't do anything, because most of y'all go get mad and offended and not doing a lick of
I'm not offended by
We sat here for damn near 15 minutes trying to hear you out.
I'm not talking about going on Google. And I'm not
because I'm not offended by your answer.
That's not real research.
I have a question. I have a question. So do you agree or disagree that there's only so far a mammal can be mutated before they're not even fertile enough to even create offspring? Like, basically, you're saying that.
Now, as you see, that went on for a very long time, but at least people are finally pushing back on the things people say about us. Like, yeah, I guess you could say like we're different and we're new and all that, and that is a mutation. But he was basically implying that we were inferior because of our skin, and that's why, people shouldn't give white people, whatever, don't mix out. But, like, don't try to throw us under the bus because of your reasoning to not want to mix out. Especially if those same things that you are complaining about are things that your people have to deal with too. Like, it's okay to not want to, like, quote-unquote, dilute your bloodline or whatever. But don't start making up fake statistics about mixed people. That's insane to me. Stick on why you want your people to be together and promoting your people without throwing jabs at us. It's really that simple.